and welcome to the show. Listen, I'm so excited because this month is June and it's dedicated to fathers. We are talking about the power of a father. And this is our Power of a Father series. And I've had some dynamite fathers that have been on, fantastic, fabulous fathers that have been on. And so you're going to meet one of my friends who's up in Newark, and he's here, Professor Bill Davis. He's going to be talking about what it means to be a father and the power of a father. And he's a special dad, by the way. And of course, then you're going to meet Pastor Tori Liferidge. And Tori's going to come to us and talk about the Juneteenth celebration. So listen, sit back, relax, and enjoy because it's coming up next.
The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com.
Welcome back to the show. Well, I've been talking all month, and this is June. We are talking about the power of a father. And yes, I have another dynamic father who's coming on. He's a professor. He was a single dad. He's an author. He's all that in a bag of chips. And so we're just going to bring him out, and that is Brother Bill Davis. Come on out, Bill.
Hello, Tammy. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing, Bill?
Whenever I have the pleasure and privilege of being on with you, things are much better. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, listen, I always appreciate talking with you, my brother, because you bring such knowledge and a wealth of knowledge to everything that we've been talking about. And so it is just great to see you. So first of all, I want to ask, how is the family?
Everybody's doing well.
Everybody's doing
well. So the pandemic has certainly created a lot of havoc and stress, but I'm fortunate to be able to say that everybody's healthy and doing okay. I hope everybody's healthy on your end.
Yes, everybody is healthy, and of course, we're getting back to seeing each other. My daughter and I, of course, have she's in Charlotte, and I'm here, and my aunt, who's 98 years old. So I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with her recently because now you can go and visit her, and
Right.
of course, she's just as spry as ever. So thank you so much for asking.
That's great. That's great.
So how is the book? Baba and the Crew, and I don't have the book to hold up, but how is the book going? Book sales.
It's going slow, but it's going.
That's wonderful.
And fortunately, with the Father's Day celebration close by, there, some different opportunities to do some book signings now that things are opening up again. So, but we're seeing a trend. We're trending in the right direction.
That's wonderful. Well, Bill, I want you to kind of tell us a little bit because when I think of you, and you were a single dad, and I'm gonna say are a single dad because you never change it, but you were a single father, and so the topic is about the power of a father. When you hear that statement, what does that mean to you?
What it means to me, Tammy, is the fact that oftentimes, and particularly for African American men, then we're not seen in the role as fathers very often, and so I'm grateful for the fact that my book is an attempt to try to change that negative perception about fathers and Black fathers in particular. But fathers play a critical role, and oftentimes because of the fact that mothers are handling the parenting responsibilities more than fathers. But I think that when people really understand that the stability, the mentorship, the care, all the different things that fathers provide for their sons and daughters, then, I think that people underestimate the significance of why being a father is such a phenomenal blessing. And
That's right.
So I am profoundly grateful to have the privilege of being a dad.
Right. And you had the privilege because you, as we say down here in the South, you got a bunch of children. You had a bunch, but you call them your crew.
Yes.
So, talk about raising your children and what that was like, especially being a single dad. Because one of the things that I want to ask you about is that time. How were you able to, and people say balance, the balance, work-life balance, but I
Right.
say priority, because you have to make priority. Talk about that aspect of raising your children.
Well, so for the benefit of the audience, next year will be 30 years that I've been a single dad. And so 1992, my children were 3, 5, 7, and 9. And I moved to a different location in New Jersey to be closer to work because I wanted to make sure that if something, I was close to where my children were in school so that if an emergency happened, it wouldn't take me long to get to them. But I made a priority about putting my children first
Hmm.
because we can always change jobs. There'll be different situations that will happen, and so, but your children are always going to be your children. And so they were the priority that I have to be honest. I mean, there were people in the community and in my family who originally did not support the idea, but eventually recognized the fact that, because my former wife was not really in a very competent position to be able to take care of them, that it was something that I really needed to do. But then that idea of building a village, that's what I committed myself to. Committed myself to build a village around my children. And
Hmm.
it took some time. So anybody who's in that process, don't give up. There'll be people who are going to support you. There'll be people who would seem like they would, but for whatever reason choose not to. But eventually you're going to find people who will be an integral part of helping you to, because children need to hear your message or the message of the parent from other people.
That's
So that
right.
they can hear it in a different tone, in a different, you know, with a different level of energy, but it will
Hmm.
reinforce the message that you're giving them. And so, um, so it, and then for the parents who have children that are supporting yours, their children need to be around other children who are going in the same direction that your children are going in. So that's why it's important to me for to try to bring life to that ideal of having a
That's
village
right.
to raise a child. And but fortunately, since I had 4 children for back to school night and different events to do, just running all over, trying to find a parent that my child be able to ride with, and I could take their child somewhere. It was an amazing, amazing journey. But
Right.
happily say that despite all the challenges that we face, everybody's doing okay.
That's wonderful. Well, listen, I mean, because your children are grown now, well, starting out at 3, 5, 7, and 9, talking about those 30 years. And you touched on something that I was going to ask a little later, but since you touched on it, I wanted you to kind of talk to some of the young men who are thinking about the fact that now I have children and they are afraid. They are starting, they want to give up. They want to run away. Talk about that aspect because I'm pretty sure having 4 children as a single parent, there were some times when you were like, you might have been at, I don't know, you can correct me, that you might have been like, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this like I really want to? Talk about that.
So, a very good friend of mine is a recovering alcoholic. And so he told me, he said, man, listen, one thing that you should do, bro, the same thing that I do as recovering alcoholic is just go day by day. He said, because
Mm,
if you try to go out too far, it's going to feel overwhelming. So just go day by day. And which, sometimes it's difficult to do because there are times it's like, I'm ready to hurry up and get this done, ready to hurry up and see them, become more self-sufficient.
mm-hmm,
But then um, I've met people who had the misfortune of being molested by people in their family.
mm-hmm,
And that made me all the more determined to make sure that I stayed with my children and protected them as much as possible.
mm-hmm.
And so for any young man or any parent, then I don't know if anyone that's listening has had the experience and knows someone has the trauma of being molested, but that trauma lasts a lifetime. And so, and then for your own peace of mind, you need to know, like I know now, And I appreciate the accolades that that I hear now because everybody's doing okay. But my peace of mind is the fact that I know I did the best I could.
Mm.
So there are mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes, and so don't beat yourself up about making a mistake. Your children are gonna make mistakes. We're all human, and so making mistakes is part of the human experience. But in reality, at the end of the day, you've got to be confident that you gave as much as you could give to make sure that
Hmm.
your children had a phenomenal life. And so, I,
Yeah.
there are always times when you're like, I used to drive. I think I told you, I used to live in Ridgeland, South Carolina.
Right.
And I used to drive down there so I could see her, so my children could see her. And sometimes because I didn't have a lot of money, we wanted to go to Disney, but we might stop and visit my mom and then drive the rest of the way to Florida, go to
Hmm.
Disney World, drive back. And so I'm riding in the car, four children, they're hungry, they teasing. And I
Yeah.
used to tell them, like, look, y'all, Harriet Tubman walked under the threat of death for freedom. Sit back and relax.
Yeah. Yeah, they tried that. Are we there yet? Are we
Yeah,
there yet? Are we
exactly.
there yet? Yeah. Yeah. I know. I listen. I got my daughter. I remember. Are we there yet, Mama? Are we there yet? So I do remember being
Sit
a
back
single
and relax.
mom. I do remember that. Listen, let me ask you this. What are some of those qualities that you wanted to pass on to your children that you see in them now?
Resilience is the main one because we're all going to face stuff that's going to be difficult for us to get through, but we all have to be able to figure out a way to get through it. And so the number one thing is resilience, and the second one is that to be comfortable in who you are. And so we can see from George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all the crazy stuff that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor that was killed down there, and all the people in the church. That there are
Mm-hmm.
people who don't like us just because of how we look. And so so at some point we have to be comfortable with who we are, and recognize that it's just like there's been people who aren't comfortable with who we are, and they're going to assume crazy stuff about us, and and may attempt to do horrible stuff to us. And so
Mm-hmm.
we need to be comfortable with who we are, and to be proud of our heritage and the legacy. And so because in addition to the people that died, I mean Nat Turner and all the other people that fought for us to get out of slavery, so we have a profound history that we stand on. And when we are really comfortable in that, then it makes it easier for us to understand what we have to do today. And so next we're going to see the Juneteenth event. That's one of the things that we're going to say. That yes, we got freedom years after the 13th Amendment was passed, and we should have had the right to be free. Years after the Emancipation Proclamation, 2 years, I mean, several months after the Civil War is over. But in reality, it just goes to sort of have information. And then when we get the information, then we're supposed to do something with it. And so that part of that village is to be able to pass information on. So how can I pass information on to your children? You pass information on to
Mm-hmm.
my children that helps them to actualize who they really are. And to be proud, to be
Yeah.
the gays rather say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. That still exists right now. We need to be proud of who we are.
That's right. You see, that's it. That's it. I'm
Power to the people.
telling you, power. So let's talk about this. I think about goals that you set for yourself. What were some of those goals that you set for yourself as it pertained to raising your children? And how did those goals intertwine?
Hmm. And one that for all the people who are in the active parenting mode now, because it shifts. So when they're young, they're really, really dependent on you. As they become, young adults, they become less dependent on you, but you still need to be engaged because
Hmm.
once they start driving and being in different kind of circles, and, your level of being able to assess what's going on with them is important. But being patient, and that's one of and I'm still working on that. In fact, when I say my prayers every day, two qualities I pray for: to be more patient, be more forgiving, right? Because
Hmm.
sometimes our patience is really challenged. And so there used to be a radio program called on that said, "Take time for your child." And one of the things, it was a brother who was doing this show. He said,
Uh-huh.
"Take hold of yourself before you take hold of your child."
Hey, that's the truth. That's the
Because there
truth.
will be times you're like, "Listen, when I get my hands on you, now,
Yeah.
this will be conditions."
Well, you.
But then you got to remember now, because fortunately for me, and for particularly parents with younger children, and the younger age, your children really try to please the parent.
Oh
So,
yes.
so my children, at the younger age, they were on the honor roll, they were doing really well and all that kind of stuff. But when they get to the preteen and teen years, it's not as cool to be on the honor roll, right?
Yeah.
And so then the children will work down to their peer group rather than
Uh-huh.
up to their ability, right? And so then we have to figure out a way to motivate them to work up to their ability. So I would set goals for all of us, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you were on the honor roll, there were certain privileges that you got for being on the honor roll. If you weren't on the honor roll, you got privileges taken away, right? So we can
Uh-huh.
incentivize you to be on the honor roll, and then you can see the consequence of not being. Because I know that it's not a question of your ability; it's just a question of your level of distraction.
That's
And
right.
so I want to try to help you not be too distracted by being on the honor roll. Because I was
Mm-hmm.
clear about one of the goals as an educator that I want all my children to go to college. And one of the highest forms of debt in the country is still student loan debt. And I hope Biden will eventually decide to, eliminate some of the student loan debt.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want my children or me to be in debtor's prison trying to finance it going to college. So the better that we do in school, the greater you have access to scholarships. And since they all wanted to go, and that was like there was never really any question about if we were going. The question was where.
Where? That's right.
Exactly. Exactly. Ain't no question if. Let's figure out where,
Just
right?
where?
And we want to be on campus, then we got to get a scholarship.
Uh-huh.
And so fortunately, despite all distractions, they were able to do that. And so I think that the more we enforce certain kind of conversations, the
Mm-hmm.
more consistent that they hear it. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
all the commercials that we hear all day long. We hear these commercials over and over and over. The redundancy of the commercial, we can actually sing and hum some of these commercials because of the fact that we've heard it so often. And so for us, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, let's make sure that we reinforce the message for our children and have a chorus reinforce
Mm-hmm.
the message for them.
That's right. So, talking about that, what are some of those traits that you see in yourself now in your children as they're grown?
So when I was younger, much younger, my father told me I was hard headed.
So who's the hard-headed one?
All of them.
Oh God.
And so what I realized later that hard headed is just another way of saying determined,
Uh-huh.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so at some point we want our children to be determined. We want them to be determined for things that are healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I want you to be determined to do well in school, to be determined to succeed in whatever profession that you choose, to be determined to stay healthy. And so fortunately, most of them have a healthy diet, they exercise, which is one of the things that we emphasized when they were younger, because, we want to be mentally and physically fit. And
That's
so none
right.
of us can really determine how long we're going to be in the world, but we can have how we are in the world. So if we're fortunate enough,
Mm-hmm.
if whatever creator we believe in gave us a healthy mind and healthy body, that was God's gift to us. Our gift to God is to stay healthy.
That's
And
right.
so and particularly now, with the pandemic, everybody's gaining weight and all that kind of stuff. Then, we need to make sure that we are, as much as possible, taking care of
Taking care
ourselves.
of.
Because
Yes.
I was telling a friend of mine, who was out jogging and he had a pacemaker in it, and I didn't know that pacemakers had defibrillators in it, and the
Mm-hmm.
defibrillator went off, and so he said that he's 70 whatever years old. I said, man, it's time for
Well,
you to start walking, man. What are you doing?
yeah.
And I told about a friend of mine who used to work with who had diabetes
Mm-hmm.
and was having a diabetic attack in the car,
Oh.
moved to the side of the road, was not able to walk, was crawling on the side of the road.
Mm.
And fortunately for him, somebody stopped to help him. And
Mm.
I think he was a drug addict or something else. And I told
Wow.
him, man, I said, bro, you out here jogging, man, you fall out on the side of the road, son. ain't no telling what the hell could happen to you.
That's right.
And so, I appreciate you trying to stay in good health. But, sometimes your body is telling you if you got a pacemaker and a defibrillator going on, it's time to walk, bro.
That's right. That now you're right. You're right
It's time
about
to
that. So
walk.
so Bill, we've been talking about your wonderful family. Let's see some of those pictures, Miss Tiana.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, you sent us some beautiful pictures.
And I think one of them got a couple of them got my granddaughter in there. Oh, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes. That's
Wow.
my aunt, my mom's youngest sister.
Oh.
We were at a wedding in Barbados.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, that's
What's the next one, Tiana?
yeah, that's my youngest daughter, my granddaughter.
Oh, wow.
And so all of my children learn how to do African dance at an early age. So that was in an
Uh-huh.
African dance class. And that's when
Oh,
my youngest daughter graduated from college.
and there they are.
Yeah, there they are. That's the crew. And
That's the
my father gave them that name. So
the crew.
my father was in the Navy.
Uh-huh.
So whenever we would go see him, he would ask, "How's your crew?" That's how the name came about.
Well, no, go talk about your father. One of the things is what are some of the or what's one of the biggest lessons that you learned from your father that you passed on to your children?
So there are lessons that we learn from our parents, both positive and negative. And so I would see my father when I went to school in the morning, but I didn't see him again until the next morning. And
Mm,
so, but my father on Sundays we'd go out. We'd have family dinner together. We'd travel different places together and stuff like that. And so having family dinner together and traveling together is one of the lessons that I learned from my father. But I
mm,
also indirectly learned to be more engaged with my children. So when they played sports and when musical competitions and concerts, I was present, right? So it's like I wish that my father had been in some, I ran track and he had been in some of my track meets.
mm-hmm.
So I made sure that when my children were involved in something that I was going to be present.
Wow. So now, Bill, we've got just a little bit more time, a couple of minutes left. And I always ask this question about what is the one thing that you want people to glean from this interview when we're talking about raising children and being a father.
Don't give up. Don't give up. There's going to be times when people are going to question and wonder, you know. But at the end of the day, your children are going to be the barometer for. And there may be times like one of my daughters got upset with me one time, and it took several months. We didn't talk to each other. We sent each other notes. But at some point, which is why the title of the book is Baba and the Crew: True Story of a Single Black Father's Journey to Redemption. The redemption is when your children learn the lessons, when they learn that you love them, when they can recognize and appreciate the sacrifices that you made for them. The same way that there may be times when we disagree with our parents. There may be
Mm-hmm.
times when things didn't go as well with us and our parents. But as we age, then we recognize the sacrifices that they made for us. And so when the children are really, really young and they say they don't like you and all that kind of stuff, at some point you just got to learn how to water on the duck. You just got to let it roll off.
Roll up.
I love you anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
I love you, and ain't nothing you can do about
That's,
it.
and nothing you can, and you know what? You will hear your children at one point or another. You will hear them say, "I can't stand you. You're
Absolutely.
getting on my nerve. I
Absolutely.
I want to do this." But
Right.
that's just the individuality of them coming out and try.
Exactly
And
what
I'll
it
be
is.
like, "Okay, well, whatever. It
Right, right,
is
right.
what it is."
I'll be here when you ready. This too shall change.
It will pass. So
Yeah.
one of the things I want to ask you as we're closing out, because the next guest is going to be talking about Juneteenth. So tell us about your experience with Juneteenth and what's getting ready to happen with you and all the things that are going on.
Oh, I am profoundly grateful that Juneteenth has expanded. I mean, so if you think 10, 15, 20 years ago, Juneteenth was much smaller as a celebration, particularly here in the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, it's really expanded, and so there are going to be multiple Juneteenth celebrations. and I have the benefit of speaking at a couple of them. And so, one of the things that I'm going to say is the fact that, the 13th Amendment, which ended slavery, was written in 1865. The Emancipation Proclamation was written in 1863. And the Emancipation Proclamation technically ended slavery. And so, but 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, it was on Juneteenth actually, and then the Civil War was over for several months before. And so, but here in New Jersey, there's a bill to pass statewide reparations. So while we celebrate the ending or acknowledging the ending of slavery, there was slavery in New Jersey for 200 years. And so New Jersey was the last northern state to pass the 14th, 15th Amendment. Wow. And the only northern state not to vote for Lincoln in 1860 and 1864. And so people commonly think of slavery in the South, but slavery happened all over the country.
That's right.
So we should all be thinking about what are ways that we can ask for reparations where we are. I mean, in South Carolina, I guess you know this, Tammy, South Carolina, the death rate for our ancestors in South Carolina was the highest anywhere in the country because they were trying to grow rice. And the process of growing rice, you had to be in mud and the heat and snakes and all kinds of stuff. So the death rate there was incredibly high. Calhoun and all the different people who were from that. I mean,
Calhoun, that's what we call it.
I'm not going to divert too far, but in reality, so I don't know if South Carolina has reparations, but if not, we need to have a statewide bill to ask for reparations.
Yeah.
And I'm telling people that the reparations should be, because when I visited my mother, she lived originally. Rural poverty is incredible. And as we were riding through some of these rural parts of South Carolina, and I'm like, we need to figure out a way to strengthen our schools, strengthen our healthcare facilities. Our children should not be strapped with college loans. We should make sure that they get access to education for free or close to free. And so we should think of reparations as an institutional thing rather than an individual thing.
That's right. So, Bill, I appreciate you so much. And every time you get to talking, my brother, I'm like, okay, when they say when Bill Davis speaks. So tell us this. What are the three words that describe you at this moment in your life?
At this moment in my life?
Yes.
Healthy, physically and emotionally healthy. That's, number one. I can say that I am really proud of who my children are. And grateful because at a certain point, Tammy, no matter all the good intentions that we have, we could have been at the church the day that Bill and Ruth went in and killed everybody, right? I mean, so
that's right.
At a certain point, we have to be grateful for the fact that whatever deity we pray to has allowed us to be healthy in the world. And so I would say yes, healthy, proud, and grateful.
And grateful. Wow. My brother, it is always a pleasure to have you on the show and to talk with you. Tell everyone I said hello, and I hope they had an opportunity to watch. The next time the crew will be coming on.
Absolutely.
And so I look forward to seeing you.
But Tammy, I have one request.
Yes.
One of my good partners, which is why I'm out in the public space. My man just retired from his job, so we're out celebrating. And I told him, I said, man, I'm waiting for my invitation to come to Charleston.
Oh.
And so I said, I'm waiting for them to work it out. Go, brother, to come to Charleston. So, so I want to put that out into the conversation. Like, all right.
Yeah,
let's invite the brother down. We can sell some books. We can do book signing. We can make something happen. So
that's it.
I'm anxious to come. And now that the pandemic is lifting, I've been fully vaccinated. Like I'm ready to come. So
yep. So you come on down. We're gonna make that happen. And Pastor T is coming up. And when that Juneteenth happens again next year, Pastor T, you got the brother right here to give us that history, man.
I'll be more than glad to be there. No question.
Yeah. So listen, thank you so much, Bill. And you all have a great celebration. Tell your friend I said hello. I know he can't see me, but tell him I said hello. And I look forward to seeing you all in Charleston.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care.
Stay well
Thanks,
now.
Bill.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings. Listen, I tell you what, when I have these men come on, these what I call these dynamic men, fabulous men, I mean, fired up. When they come on, they just have so much information to share, and I'm just grateful that they're on the Tammy Show. So listen, sit back, relax, and enjoy because Pastor T is coming up next, and we're going to hear all about the Root of Soul Festival.
Charleston and surrounding areas, get ready for the Root of Soul J19 Fest, happening June 18th through the 19th at Ladson Exchange Park, home of the Coastal Carolina Fair. And it all kicks off Friday night with the opening ceremony with Demetrius Dr. Trio featuring the Wives and the Bold Dance Company of Charleston, plus an outdoor party with DJ Kid Capri and DJ SNS. That's Friday night. This Saturday, it's workshops and panels on the culture, plus the big poetry slam hosted by Courtney Nicole with music by DJ B. Lord, plus the Gospel Explosion with Pastor H.E. Dixon, Terrell Smalls and Company, Kelante Gavin, and Jonathan McReynolds. And then it's the main concert featuring Kiki Wyatt live, along with the Grammy Award-winning Ranky Tanky. There'll be food trucks, vendors, health and information fair, the HBCU Virtual College Fair, Kids Zone, Pain Sips, Spades, Dominoes, and more. Get more details and your tickets now at rootofsoul.com. Kids 17 and under are admitted free. It's all hosted by the Grace Impact Development Center, sponsored by Mr. Seafood, Fox Audio Visual, Explore Charleston, Low Country Acceleration Academy, Star 99.7, 99.3 The Box, and Heaven 1390. Bring your own chairs. Tents will be available on site. And yes, there will be multiple cash bars. No coolers, please.
Wow, the Root of Soul, J19. I tell you what, so I'm excited to have none other than Pastor Tori Liferidge. I tell you what, CEO of Grace Impact Development Center, pastor of Grace Church. I mean, this brother has bad. He and his wife, First Lady, they've got it going on. And so I'm excited. I'm going to miss that commercial. So come on out, Pastor T.
So glad to be here. What an introduction.
I tell you what, let me tell you what, I'm going to miss that commercial because it's been going on. Now, that's the new one, but the first one, and everybody's like, oh, the Root of Soul, the Root of Soul. You know, I was in the hairstylist and they were like, oh, we got to go. We got to go. I said, we all going to drive to Charleston and come on and go. So, Pastor T, how are you?
I'm doing well, my sister. How are you?
I am doing well, man. You're looking good. I know you're busy. And listen, I thank you so much for being on the show because I know that this is taking time out of getting ready for this Root of Soul. So let's get to it. Talk about the Grace Impact Development Center and how you really started, why you wanted to start this Juneteenth celebration.
Sure. The Grace Impact Development Center, that is the nonprofit arm of the ministry work that we're doing in Berkeley County. We recognize that there is great need, and, you know, in terms of the community in which we serve. And then we have a chance to partner with several other rural communities and different initiatives. And in doing a lot of work together, we recognize that much of rural Berkeley County, and I might say many rural communities throughout the Low Country, as Professor Davis was just alluding to, you know, there's a lot of rural poverty and rural need. Mm-hmm. And these are great communities, but, you know, the powers that be do not often prioritize the needs of these communities. They only show up when it's election time. Hello. And so in doing this work, we were recognizing, you know, looking at affordable housing, you know, you can't do affordable housing unless you can get some free money, you know, and everybody says, you know, just go and get a grant. But if you look at what Chick-fil-A has recently done and how they focus, I believe it was $5 million for minority-led nonprofits, that was intentional because minority-led nonprofits usually only account for about 10% of the grant funding that's out there. So with all of those things that were happening, one of the things that we recognized was with the increase of awareness and pride in celebrating the Juneteenth holiday, and there are multiple opportunities to celebrate, everybody's talking about it, we saw an opportunity to not only celebrate the rich history and culture, African-American culture here in Charleston, the Low Country, but also a chance to create an economic engine. Because this is sponsored and hosted by a nonprofit, that means that we get a chance to pour resources back into our communities that we serve here in Berkeley County and eventually throughout the Low Country for much needed and critical initiatives.
That's right. You know, Pastor T, you are just so eloquent in the way that you articulate the need in those rural communities and talking about those resources, because you said something very important. And I'm hoping that if any of the politicians are listening to us right now, that we don't want you to come around when it's time for us to elect you. We want you to come into the community, see what's happening, bring those resources to the community. So how is it that this Juneteenth celebration is able to come together? I know that you have multiple people helping you, and I'm so glad to see that. And I want to hear all that's getting ready to happen. You know, of course, they say no coolers, please, but you know, but all of the wonderful things that are going to happen, the workshops, the college. So you know, just kind of run through that for us.
Absolutely. It's funny that you say this. You know, sometimes you're so busy doing the work, you don't often get a chance to just look at the work itself. And we had an occasion just today and going over some information. And I had paused and I said, this is a really good festival. You know, we're excited. We have a ton of resources and people and acts and artists and talent. We're starting on that Friday. One of the things that we've always heard is that so many people are ready to get out of the house and to, you know, especially in a large, massive outdoor venue. We have people who we feel calls. Matter of fact, just a gentleman, 85 years old, from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, just called and said that the 19th is his birthday and he is coming to celebrate at Root of Soul. I mean, we get calls from all across North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Florida. So this is not just a local, but also a regional event. And we look at our grand opening ceremony. Well, when you first get there, there's the Mr. Seafood Food Truck Rodeo. We have about 25 food trucks that will be in the venue. We have vendors from a variety of different selling a variety of different merchandise. And then our grand opening ceremony, we're blessed to have Demetrius Doctor and the Wise. If you've never experienced them, they are phenomenal. As we raise our Juneteenth festival freedom flag, we'll have dignitaries there, some special greetings. Then we have the Bold Dance Company of Charleston. This is a phenomenal group. They are putting together a phenomenal experience for us as they welcome us into the festival experience. And then we change gears and we have the fabulous, fantastic, amazing Kid Capri on the ones and twos, DJ S&S as well. That will be facilitating a massive outdoor festival party. So it's going to be there. Our food, we'll have several bar stations around. So it's just going to be a good time for everybody to come out, hang out, experience family, friends, and have a good time on that Friday. And then we shift to that Saturday where we start. We've been fortunate enough to develop partnerships with UNCF and the U.S. Department of Education for our HBCU virtual and in-person college fair. We have several HBCUs that will be on site. Everybody, all of our children 17 and under, they can enter the festival absolutely free. So we are encouraging everybody to take advantage of that. There will be UNCF will be facilitating a virtual workshop as well as the Department of Education. We have a history of Juneteenth. We have several powerful panel discussions. One about cultural networking that we're proud to have our very own Tammy be a part of that.
Thank you.
We have one on talking about the relevance of the Black church in the 21st century. And then we have one about politics, talking about the real for state and local politics, which is very important. Then we have the Poetry Slam that's going to be hosted by Courtney the Poet and DJ B. Lord. He's well known throughout Columbia and the Charleston area. We have poets coming from all across the Southeast to participate. There's a $500 grand prize. And then from there, we shift. We have a book signing, an author for children's books for children who look like us. So we're excited about that as well. And then we have our gospel explosion with Pastor H.E. Dixon, Jarrell Smalls and company. We have Kalante Gavin, and then we close the gospel explosion out with Jonathan McReynolds. So we're super excited about that. And then the main concert with the one and only Kiki Wyatt, and closing out with Charleston's own Grammy Award winning Ranky Tanky. So it is a phenomenal festival that has been planned for us to enjoy at the Root of Soul.
Well, so now let's talk about this. You talk about the ones and the twos. What you know about the being on the ones and the twos?
Listen. You can ask anybody who's been working with me throughout this process, and even work with me in ministry. They know I have hip hop references all in my sermons. I'm a music and hip hop head. I am looking forward to making sure that I enjoy myself on Friday night. I'm looking forward to that.
I know I am too. Well, listen, let's talk about the time of entry and the cost, because I know people want to know what time that they need to be there, because if you've got over 10,000 people there, they need to be ready.
Yes.
And I'm just saying that now, 10,000. Don't be afraid, y'all. Don't be scared, because a lot of y'all a lot of you are vaccinated and all and coming out. So and you've already made preparations for that. So talk about that.
We're able to scale, in terms of. I was talking to a friend of mine who hosts a major event in Charleston and yearly, and he said, "Listen, Charleston is strange. We've been blessed. We're talking about, our ticket sales have been very steady." And he said that's the most important thing, because Charleston waits until the week of the event to purchase their tickets. And so we're about to be sold out of our VIPs. I think our VIP tickets will be sold out before the night is over. So, God has been blessing us in this. But just to say that on Friday, the festival doors open at 4 p.m. and we go until 10 p.m. And then Saturday, gates open at 2 p.m. and we go until 10 p.m. And the cost is for 2-day general admission is $100. That's $50 a day for all of that talent and information, vendors, and experience that we just talked about. If you're a senior, 65 and older, it is $85. If you're looking for a one-day pass, it is $65. VIPs, our 2-day pass is $150. And then we have some bundles for if you have a 4-pack bundle, it works out to be $85 per ticket for a 4-pack. And if you bring your family, we have several groups that have registered their families. Any 15 and more tickets, it's a $75 per ticket price point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pastor.
No, I'm just saying we try to make sure that we can accommodate everybody for this festival. We're excited about it.
Yes, and you have done a fabulous job. I tell you, I thank you for allowing me to be a part of that, and I'm looking forward to the cultural networking. Now, how that's going to work, I don't know, because they say I'm going to be outside, right?
Yes.
Lydia, hey Lydia, she said that I'm going to be outside. I was like, okay, in the heat. She said, yeah, outside.
We're gonna have you come on the stage, so you'll be on the stage. You'll be protected.
Yeah, and that cultural networking, all of those workshops, they start around that 2-3 o'clock time, right?
So the workshops, the first workshop begins at 3 o'clock. There will be 2 happening at 3 o'clock and 1 happening at 4 o'clock on that Saturday.
I am excited. I know I'm going to see you out there dancing now.
Yes.
And First Lady, y'all be out there just having a good old time. And I think, and I want to congratulate you too, Pastor T, because just knowing your passion and how passionate you are about this particular festival has been phenomenal. I mean, when I think about the magnitude of what's getting ready to happen, see, people don't know what it's like, you behind the scenes putting it together, right? But for you to have the vision to bring this forward, just like Professor Bill Davis just said, he's ready to come to Charleston. So next year
we will have them.
All right, that's what I'm saying. Those relationships and building those relationships. But again, I want to congratulate you on everything that you all are doing. And listen, folks, if you're not in Charleston, just think about driving down for the weekend. That's Father's Day weekend. I think it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. So Pastor T, what's next? What's next for you, First Lady, and Grace? What's
How about
next?
sabbatical? This has been, for the better part of a year, planning and working on this, and it's a labor of love, and one that we believe is setting the table, because what many people don't realize is that Charleston, there are a lot of people who do realize it, and unfortunately, many people who look like you and I have no clue, but African American tourism in Charleston is about to explode. And people have been working to get into position. And my greatest fear has been that there will be so many people who capitalize off of our history, capitalize off of our culture, and it doesn't flow back into our communities. So beyond all of the festival and the celebration, we want to create an Essence Festival type experience that year in and year out, we can really develop funds that pour back into supporting. One of the when you talk about what's next, one of the things that we want to come from this initiative is to create a small business and nonprofit impact fund, where we can look, one of the things that many people don't realize, Coastal Carolina Fair, that's the fundraiser for the Charleston Exchange Club, which is a nonprofit, and they give away about $500,000 to $800,000 every year to community nonprofits.
That's right.
But oftentimes, minority-led nonprofits may not have everything that they need in place to participate and benefit from that. So what we want to do is to create a centralized impact fund where we pay a full-time CPA, we pay a lawyer to represent, we pay a business coach, and those things are costs that our nonprofit fronts. Now you have small businesses and small nonprofits that can tap in, get the resources they need, be coached, learn how to build their boards, and learn how to set up their funding, their financing the proper way, so that they can position themselves to either get small business loans, and we hope to be at the point where we could even be a lender or provide micro grants to impact our small businesses and small nonprofits. Because you could take their small communities in like Hugie, Alvin, Jamestown, you can give a community like that, somebody that's on fire, $5,000, they can turn $5,000 into $25,000 worth of impact. Much more than anybody from the outside could coming in. So that's the vision, and that's what we'll be working on next.
Ooh, wow. What's next? Wow. I tell you what, and when you talk about that, Pastor T, what I heard most importantly in my head was now history and economic development, because now you're teaching about historically what has happened and what we need to do to move forward. Just like Professor Bill was talking about, reparations. And now you're talking about creating that economic development for these communities and people of color that really brown and black people that really need the funds and can make it happen, especially during this time, Pastor T, since we've had the COVID and the pandemic. A lot has been birthed out of it. And I know you've been preaching in church about, birthing. And what's been coming out? Folks are saying that, yes, unfortunately, we've lost a lot of people. But at the same time, there's been a lot that has been birthed out. Look at Juneteenth. Look at Ruta.
Yes.
So what is it that you want people to help you with the Grace Impact Development Center? How can people help the nonprofit organization?
Well, first and foremost, go to our Facebook page and like it. We're in the process. Our website is outdated. It's being revamped as we speak. So we've been doing most of our things through Facebook. But in addition to that, support the Root of Soul. This will be a key for so many things that will happen, that will continue to be a benefit for our communities. We have plans in place already, not only for an affordable housing community that will be a model that we can replicate in different areas. When we talk about truly empowering our community, we need to talk about distribution. And so we have something in place that we're going to be, once we have the resources, then we're going to look to partner with, South Carolina State, Claflin, one of our HBCUs, and develop a supply chain model and really put in place my vision, honestly, and this is a passion project for me, is to replace the dollar brand stores from our communities, because they're often owned by people outside of the communities that put it there, and they suck those resources out and don't pour it back into the community. So if we can put together our own distribution model, then we can support our own communities, and those funds then stay within those communities to do the work of community development.
Wow. Talking about the dollar working. We talking about Black Street, Black Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? I mean, unfortunately, the situation that, things that happened horrifically in Tulsa. But now what you're talking about, keeping those dollars in the community.
Absolutely.
Keeping those dollars there. I mean, man, I love talking with you, and I love hearing all the wonderful things that you all are doing. And tell First Lady I said hello, Lydia, hello, and all of the team there. You all have just done a phenomenal job. It's amazing to see what's getting ready to happen on June the 18th and the 19th.
Thank you. Amen.
Yes. Yeah. So what's the last thing you want to share with people? What is it? What's the takeaway from this when it comes to not just Juneteenth, but what you were talking about, the economic development? What is the takeaway?
Well, one of the things that I think that we have to focus on, and we've been doing a lot of work here in Berkeley County, and I can speak on that, but we have to be engaged in our communities. That's being engaged civically, politically, making sure that we show up and understand what's going on in our school boards. Our school district here in Berkeley County is seeing massive change for the good, but that didn't happen by night. We have been working for well over a year in terms of cultivating different people and different groups to have the result we needed to see last November. And it has to be continuous, because trust me, the other side is already plotting for how they're going to regain power. So we have to be engaged in our communities civically, and we have to support those who are actually doing the work. That's where we can see more of the unity. I don't expect everybody to show up at every meeting, but what we've been seeing and what I've been sharing with other community leaders is we have to do the work to cultivate the capital. Right, where the trust, when people trust that we are really about this work, so that when we have that call to action, you have people that are willing to support, because the only thing that works in terms of political power and the only thing that can beat economic power is the numbers. That's right. That's our people have done that historically. We've gotten away from that, and we have to continue to build that back. And I'm hoping that this festival will be a lightning rod for that.
Oh, well, it's already shocked me. So that lightning rod hit me, so I'm ready.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm hoping, and we're laughing, but I really, as you're talking, I'm hoping that people are really listening to what you're talking about, my brother, because what you're saying is so important and so needed, especially during this time. It's time for us to come together. And I know you've been saying that, and you preach that as well when you're talking to your congregation and when you're out in the community. You talk about bringing folks together. And amen, you're doing it.
And we have to, and we live in a time, though, Tammy, where many people who share the same vocational call that I do, we have to do much more than talk. We have to actually do it. And the one thing that I'm so proud of our congregation is that they trusted this young pastor, radical, and we have invested so much outside of the walls of our church. And we're seeing the benefit from that. And that's the part where I think more people in the community, they're so skeptical of the church because they haven't seen the church actually, walk the walk. And I think the more that we do that, the more that people begin to trust in the work and join in the effort. So that's what we need to see from more and more of my brothers and sisters.
Wow. Well, listen, I so appreciate you. And I'm not going to let you go without you talking about where you are now. What are those 3 words that describe you right now?
Ooh, right now, other than tired. I think I would say stretched, which is a good thing as a person of faith. Purpose, more so now than ever before. I see clearly what I truly believe my purpose is. And I would say faithful. And what I mean by that is, it's one thing to preach this thing and to teach it and to believe it. But, as Thomas was, I believe, but help my unbelief.
Yes.
It is more of, I'm truly believing God in a way that is new and refreshing and closer to that oneness that I believe Jesus said was possible. And because of that, you see the work and you have the conviction and the confidence to pursue where God is leading. Even though you don't understand how you're going to do this massive festival in a pandemic, but if God is shown, you believe God for it. And he has shown us every step of the way that God is with us.
God is able. God
Yes.
is able. Wow. My brother, listen, I could have you talk for another hour, but I know you've got to run out, and I know you've got a lot of things that are happening, and I'm looking forward to being with you all next weekend. So I got to get my tickets. So Lydia, she said she got me. She got me.
Well,
Yeah,
good. As long as we got you taken care of. We appreciate you, Tammy. Thank you for everything. And we're excited to seeing you at the festival as well. Go to rootofsoul.com to get more information and get your tickets.
All right. The Root of Soul.
I love it.
Pastor T. Hey, man, love you all.
Love you, Tammy. Thank you.
Give a big hug to the First Lady for me,
I sure
okay?
will.
All right. Take care. Thank you
care.
so much, Pastor T.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I tell you what, that's the Root of Soul, J19, happening next week, June the 18th and the 19th in Charleston, South Carolina at the Latson Fairground. Please go to therootofsoul.com and you'll be able to get all of the information that you would like to have. Well, listen, we've had a great show. I just want to thank my guest. I want to thank Professor Bill Davis for always being the consummate professor that he is, as well as talking about that fatherhood. And then, of course, I want to thank Pastor T. Pastor T brings so much life to what we're talking about and really empowering the communities. And that's what it's all about, folks. I tell you, if we can't help one another, then something's wrong. So I want you to join us next week as we're going to be talking to two dynamic men, okay? And they're coming on. So I'm just going to tease that. The two dynamic men, we're looking for them next week. And so I want you to make sure that you take care of yourself. I want to thank always assistant producer, Miss Tiana. Thank you so much, Tiana, Miss T, and of course, producer A. Want to thank you all so much for all of your support. And of course, viewers, I want to thank you for always tuning into Tammy and always supporting us right here on the Tammy Show. Please remember, it's the Tammy TV Show, and that's our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Don't forget, when you see that red button, click it and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Want you to have a wonderful week. Please remember to bless someone today and every day. Make it a great day. Until the next time, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.